How's it going, world? This is Tyson Paul, and you're with We on the Last with Tyson Paul, the show where we get some of your favorite comedians together and we talk about everything comedy. This week we have a great group of guests. The first time we have a couple on our show, man. I want to introduce you guys. I've known these people for a very long time. Both have spent over 10 years in comedy, and actually they've only been together for a year, so this is going to be kind of interesting. But let's give it up for Stockton, California's very own Nick Larson and his girlfriend that he loves with all his life, Miss Danielle Arce. Let's
Hey, what's up?
What's up? How's it going, guys?
All right. I wish you would introduce him as my boyfriend. But
yeah. It's all right. It happens.
Okay, like
I'm joking.
And her boyfriend,
Thank
Nick
you.
Larson, and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Let's bring up a female comic.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a lovely lady.
She's got two.
Listen,
so this is how you can tell this relationship works out perfectly. But
I like the intro though. I've never been. We've never been a group. Have we?
Never. No.
never.
We're like a boy band.
Yes.
One of us has delicious hair. One of us doesn't.
Well.
When I part my hair in the middle, I look like Devin Sawa.
You look like during the tour, and I'm 20 years later.
Yeah.
Like, lost all the hair.
And he ate a little bit of cookies.
Yeah, I love cookies.
She looks like when you guys had the money, and then you look like when all the money was gone. Like
yeah. No, I'm pre-money.
Pre-money.
I'm pre-money. I got my thrift store on. I'm good, man.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So usually, what I like to get started with guests, I usually like to ask them what their first memories of comedy in general were. And since it's both of you, I would like for Danielle to go first and tell me some of her first experiences with comedy in general. And then I'll ask Nick some of his first comedy experiences.
Ladies first.
Yes, definitely. Okay, because I know I'm not going to be able to keep my trap shut, so they got to get me out first.
Yeah.
Here we go. So.
I mean, what?
I mean, I've always just loved comedy in general, like my whole life. I was nominated to class clown in high school. I didn't win though. This other girl won, she definitely was funnier than me back then, but she doesn't do comedy at all. So I win in life now.
I was not.
Yeah.
I was not class. I hated getting in trouble.
I know that feeling. I literally was up for class clown and I lost it. I lost it to a guy that I know.
You second placers, you.
Yeah, he doesn't do comedy either, but I still let him know that to this day that hey, I got second, you got first. So, but
does that hurt your feelings more than as somebody who doesn't do comedy?
Yeah.
That's exactly the point.
He's a fry cook now.
That's why no.
But he's killing it at McDonald's. You have no idea. He's the funniest employee.
But
he's definitely doing better in life than I am. So
no, we're comedians. Most people are.
Yeah.
The girl that beat me had a kid at 19.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Well, so Danielle,
what
were some of your first comedy specials that you actually got to see?
The first comedy specials that I saw, I remember being a kid and seeing John Leguizamo, in the 90s. He was somebody that was like one of my first memories of seeing stand-up comedy.
Freak.
Yeah. My dad used to also like Jeff Foxworthy, so I remember that, and I'm being
you might be
be confused. Yeah, I didn't get the humor.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I was like, why does my dad like this?
Yeah.
My dad's a brown guy, so I was like, why do you like this? Jeff
If you're a brown guy, you like Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck.
But I don't know. And then my biggest influences were from SNL, like the women of Saturday Night Live. Like that's what I wanted to be them growing up. And then I grew up just watching stand up here and there. I'd watch Pablo Francisco, Ellen DeGeneres, just I don't know, a lot of stand up. And then as I started progressing in my life and progressing with entertainment, I eventually just wanted to learn how to write because I was doing improv, I was doing sketch comedy, I was always doing scripts, like I did a lot of TV, film stuff, independent stuff. And so I was like, I don't know how to write anything. So I was like, I should probably do stand up. And that's free because in acting, everything costs money. All those classes to do all that stuff, writing, film, it all costs money. So I was like, well, this is free. I can try it out. And so, and then once I started to get into it, I was like, all right, I started watching more comedy. I think a few years into comedy, I saw Ali Wong's first special. It wasn't a few years, maybe like 5 or 6 years in. And then that's when it clicked in my head of when I feel like I found my voice, because for so long I was trying too hard to be like, what kind of material do I put out there? What parts of myself do I put out there? And then when I saw her and how she did it, I was like, okay, it kind of felt like that's the kind of similar kind of writing style that I've been like, and then it just, I don't know, from there went on.
Okay. Yeah. And Nick, how did you first get introduced to comedy, and how did you get your journey started?
The same way, Ali Wong, all that shit, just the whole pretty much the same way though. John Leguizamo, stuff like that. Yeah. SNL. Mm-hmm. I grew up on SNL. I watched it every Saturday as a kid. I loved, the generation with Sandler and Chris Farley, all those guys, and it was something that I had to watch. And then, speaking of LimeWire and Napster and stuff, I used to download clips, comedy clips. I mean, I had no idea who these people were. I just knew they were hilarious, and I just kept listening to them. And I would search more stuff, and surprisingly, I got no viruses. They were just legit comedy clips. It just kept, most kids are like, watching porn. I'm like, let's watch comedy. Let's do that. And then watch porn. That's after.
I think
you laugh, then come.
Every boyfriend I ever had in my entire life, I would make them come over and sit in front of my computer and watch Pablo Francisco. I'm like, you need to watch stand up.
That's both of our favorite comics.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love that guy. He's hilarious. The first time I saw him was on Comedy Central. There was a show called Make Me Laugh. And he was like the big guns.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this guy?
He's just so silly. And then when you're like a teenager and you see that, it's like, that's for, I don't know, as a teenager, like, this is hilarious. And so it's more a nostalgia thing for us.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if I would have seen him as an adult for the first time, I'd be like, yeah, this guy's funny, but I don't know. It wouldn't be like a favorite, I think.
But so it was a lot of watching comedy as a kid, watching anything on TV that was a kid, getting really into Comedy Central and watching those like 30 minutes. And then I think, my dad passed away when I was 16. I went through a rough patch for a couple of years, and then eventually, I kind of got out of the funk and was like, I like making people laugh. It kind of makes me feel good, makes me forget shit. So let's just continuously be a goofball. But see, during school though, I hated getting in trouble. I was not the class clown. I saved that shit for recess. And during recess, I was making people laugh. But in class, maybe once or twice I got in trouble, but usually it was like, I don't like this feeling. I don't want to go to detention. I have to be at school longer.
Oh, I wanted to make the teachers laugh too, though.
I've done that a couple of times. I made the teachers laugh, but I was like, let's not push this. No, I don't like trouble. But yeah, pretty much. How far are we going here?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no. I mean, you guys are pretty good about it. Cause like, actually, I still think it's funny how you sat there and said the Napster and LimeWire days. Because, like, when I was first like really interested in comedy, it was like around Napster and like LimeWire days. I wasn't download. Well, I did download like comedy specials when LimeWire was like really popular. We downloaded Eddie Murphy's Raw. We downloaded Jamie Foxx, I Might Need Security. I downloaded Richard Pryor, Live from the Sunset Strip. George Carlin's Live. And then for some reason, I don't know why, like Amy Schumer like was first getting recognition, and I downloaded her
really
like premium blend and stuff. Oh yeah, and Dan Cook's Vicious Circle.
That was one of the first comedians I got to too, was Dan Cook. That's just animated humor.
I never liked him.
When you're like 16, 17, you're like, this guy's hilarious.
I never liked him. Even before being a refined comedian, I don't know. I would watch it and be like, why is he yelling the punchlines? All the punchlines. To me, even back then, I recognized that pattern. And then I quickly got annoyed with it. So I wasn't all my friends loved him, and I was like, I don't get it.
And then the funny thing about comedy and stuff, and this is gonna lead to my next question. Like, the funny thing about comedy is like when you get into comedy, or when you like are like trying to get the foot in the door to be a comedian, for some reason you just go back to what you saw before when you were a fan, and you like kind of base your act around it. Like, because I remember the first time I did stand up for the very first time, I thought like, okay, the only way this is gonna work is I have to start off with a fart joke. I have to start off with a fart or a shit joke, like Eddie Murphy and everybody else. Like, cause that's the only way. Cause that's the easiest way to get into it. And then like, you get into other jokes and stuff. And then I realized that not everybody likes to hear fart jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's how you tell it. Is it true to you? You learn all these things when you get into the groove as well. Like, a lot of people think, oh, I got to act like this person. I got to emulate this person. It's like, no, you just got to be you. Yeah. So it can be a fart joke. You could start with a shit joke, but it has to be from you and your voice.
If I watch my old clips, I don't see anybody up there. I don't see, like, me mimicking anybody specifically. I just look like a scared individual just being on stage, like like puckered butt, just spouting lines.
I was all premises.
Most of it are all premises. Yeah, but you do see that with a lot of new comics. As soon as they get up there, you're like, oh, I know who their favorite comic is, because you could just you can see it, you can fucking smell it on them, and just
be yourself.
Be yourself.
And so when you guys first hit the stage, like, do you remember how many minutes like you guys each had? And like, basically, like, do you remember like basically everything from your first performance? Or is
I
it
remember
more like
everything, and I wish I didn't.
I remember everything. I remember every feeling.
Yep.
I still have the video.
I don't know. Mine was recorded. I had it online, but it's been gone. So I supposedly everything on the internet is permanent, but I have yet to find it. But I remember everything.
We'll find it.
I did a 6-minute open mic spot at Stand Up Scottsdale in Arizona. It's no longer a club anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. And I was over prepared. I've been preparing it for like at least 2 weeks, rehearsing it, trying to get it down. So I was just like, I'm an actor. Originally I was an actor, and so I was like, I got to deliver it this way. I have to get this memorized. I have to remember these beats. And I got laughs, but I wasn't in the moment, because it's different than when you're in the moment and you're feeling the crowd and the jokes you're going to tell, but they don't have to be as scripted. And so, like, I still got good feedback, and I was like, I like this. This is great. But it wasn't for the right reasons necessarily. Like, yeah, I was getting these laughs, but it was like premise, setup, punchline, laugh. And it was just like, and it was like that same.
That could be like a comedy song.
I don't know. But it was too, like, they knew when to laugh and they just did it. They were being nice.
Oh, but when I did it, they were not nice.
No.
Yeah. The first time that I did it was a competition, and I had no idea it was a competition. And that was real interesting, because to be a new comic and then for people not even to want to laugh because
they don't want to vote.
Yeah, there's like $100 on the line. They're like, fuck this guy. But I did have a couple people come up to me afterwards. Like, that was the first time I met Jason Sohm. He was one of the first ones, fellow deaf puppy. He was one of the first ones to be like, you got some good stuff. And then I don't know if you guys know who B.A. Hunter is. Yeah. You guys know that guys? Yeah, he was the very first person to come out and just follow me out like, hey man, you got good shit. Like, keep working on it. This is your first time. Keep working on it. And I was like, oh shit, thank you. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will keep doing this. Yeah. I feel like shit, but I'll keep going.
Oh God, I felt like shit after every performance for the first year I did stand up. I hated it. And that's why I took the year off. I did stand up for 6 months, or like a little over 6 months, and I was like, fuck stand up. I hate feeling like this after every show.
Oh, I remember getting my first show and like panicking, like, this is not gonna work. Yeah. I can't do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if somebody put me on a show, why would you do
that?
Dude, I was giving my first show after like 3 or 4 open mics, and it was at Stand Up Scottsdale in the main room. I was like, and I know I only got it because I'm a pretty lady, and I shouldn't have gotten that spot. I know I shouldn't have gotten it, but I was like, what's up?
That's right. Okay, that's why I got the show. I used to show my titties.
He paid me. I shouldn't have been paid. Yeah.
Damn.
Dude.
Yeah, that's typical.
I definitely know the first type of show that I got on was like, you have to sell tickets. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're like, he has a lot of people come to the open mics. Fucking come on to the show, do the show. I'm like, okay.
To everybody that ever saw me do comedy in 2011, I am sorry. I'm sorry you are traumatized. Please see me now, because I'm actually funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's advice to new comics. Don't have anybody come see you for the first 5 years.
Don't post it. Don't let anybody see you. It's your little secret.
Yeah. Look, if you're 4 years in, you're not good.
You're not
okay.
There, no.
You get chuckles. You might have some good shows, but you're not good yet. All right, 5 years in.
No, unless you're Taylor Tomlinson. Then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she started young.
But she's like, but even 4 years in, 20 years old, she was killing it on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like an anomaly. Unless you're her.
Okay, you guys are not Taylor Tomlinson.
Yeah.
You gotta give people some hope and stuff. So cause okay, the first 4 years when you guys are doing shows, cause obviously you guys are doing shows in separate areas. You, Danielle, you were more Southern
LA.
California. You were more Southern California, like Arizona area, and Nick, you were up north in Northern California. Just describe the comedy scene the first 5 years you guys were doing comedy in your areas. Start with Nick.
Well, there was nothing in the 209. We had maybe 2 shows. There was a regular open mic, so there wasn't a whole lot going on. We usually had to go to Modesto or go to Sacramento. I feel like the first 2 years I did a lot of bar shows. It was a lot of bar shows. That's why I feel like I have a tougher skin than most, because that's my fucking proving ground right there. Just nothing but bar shows and, trying to get laughs there. I see a lot of new comics that have these new comic showcases where they're on Punchline and Laughs Unlimited shit. I'm like, this is not good for you. You need to go out there. You need to build calluses. You need to be in front of fucking ruthless crowds.
That's what happened to me. The same thing. I got on a fucking club main stage. It's like, bitch, you don't deserve that shit.
They're like, oh, you're like, this is easy. You're in a club and everybody's like, we're drunk, let's do this. And then you're getting these fucking non-realistic laughs. They just laugh because they're happy to be there, and you have a decent setup. You know what I mean? But there's no punchline or anything like that.
There's 12 comedians on the show.
You got to go through the fucking muck, and then that's what I did the first 2 years. She was rough.
Yeah.
Eventually, it was maybe, I think I want to say it was 2.5 years, maybe 3 years in before I even stepped on the club stage. Wow. I got a show at Punchline, and that was because I was doing video for someone, and they were like, "You want to do guest set since you film my shit all the time?" I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do this!" And man, I was like, "This is way different from bars. I like this."
Yeah.
With Danielle, you were basically a Star is Born.
Dude, no, I was not a Star is Born. I was trash. I was hot trash, lots of premises, lots of hacky stuff, but not hacky as in me stealing stuff. Hacky as in okay, that was too easy, then that's not who you are. That kind of thing. I definitely know from the beginning, don't take someone else's joke. I knew that kind of shit. But but still. So I'd say the first 6 months I was in Phoenix right before I moved to LA, and I moved to LA for acting and comedy acting. That's the reason why I was going to move, wasn't for stand up. And so right before I moved, I did my last show in Arizona, and the headliner put a bad taste in my mouth when I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be moving to LA. Do you have any tips on where I can do mics or shows and things like that?" And he shut me down. He acted like I was a piece of shit. And it made me feel terrible, because then he was being nice to everybody else, all the dudes. He was really nice. And I was like, oh, this guy kind of misogynistic. And I was like, fuck stand up. And I didn't do it for a year. And then I was on set of a show, of a comedy series. And my friend, who, I don't know if you know Eric Escobar. He's another comedian. He's amazing.
Actually, shout out to Eric.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eric.
Yeah. He's amazing. One of my favorite people in this whole entire planet. He and I were on the show together, on this series, and we were talking one day, having coffee. We were shooting the shit, and he's like, "Why don't you do stand up anymore?" And I told him, and he's like, "Get back into it. It's not really like that all the time." And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, listen, I run shows at Flappers, so if anytime you're ready, just let me know, because you're funny." Because we were just talking, and I was like, "All right, I'll figure it out." Literally 2 days later, I had an audition. And in my resume, my acting resume, it said stand up as my special skill. And so they were like, "Oh, you do stand up. Can you give us 4 minutes?" And I was like, "Oh." So I was like, hey, they're like, "We'll give you 5 minutes. Go regroup, and when you're ready, come back in." And it was 3 people. This is a fucking comedian's worst nightmare. So I go out, especially beginner comic. So I'm like, all right. I start thinking, and I'm like, you know what? All right. So I went in. And I just started just being silly, and I said some of my old stuff that I remembered. I talked about my day, and they were laughing, and that feeling, that's when it finally hit. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do forever. And then I started doing some mics. I told Eric, I think I can do your show. then I got hooked. And so I was in LA for about doing comedy in LA for a year. I got married, and my ex was in the military, so he was stationed in San Diego. So then I was in San Diego for a year and a half, and then I was in Japan. So I immediately went overseas and did comedy overseas for a year and a half. And I think through traveling to all these different places in the beginning of my comedy, like from Arizona to LA to San Diego to Tokyo, and then I even went to Australia, you know, and then coming back to LA, like it made me, like it was like a fast track to becoming a seasoned comic, because I have to talk about, you know, create these jokes that are going to be relatable and people are going to kind of like laugh at all across the scale, you know, no matter where I'm at. So, and then I started doing, when I came back to LA, I was doing shows all over the country, like South Carolina, Texas, Pacific Northwest, stuff like that. So I don't know, it's been really cool. So the beginning, I think because I was forced to travel, I wasn't really a part of any scene specifically. Like you could talk to people in Phoenix and they'll be like, oh yeah, Danielle, she used to be part of the scene. I was there for 6 months. You talk to people in Tokyo, they're like, oh, Danielle, she used to be a part of our scene. I was there for 15 months. Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of just been a
traveling comedian,
vagabond lady.
So what do you guys think you learned? Like, what was the biggest thing you learned in the first 5 years of doing comedy?
I think for me, it was finding my voice. I think it was really just owning exactly who I am, the voice that's inside my head, and getting that exact voice out. And because I think, especially as a woman in comedy, you know, you're surrounded by all these dudes who are way too overly confident with who they are, and it makes me feel like I got to overcompensate. And so, you know, I'm up there, you know, trying to be a little too bold with my like actions or my cadence or something, you know what I mean? Like I'm overcompensating in all these different ways. And it was like I said, when I saw Ali Wong, and I was like, it clicked, and I was like, oh, the way that she's doing this, because she's being genuinely herself. And then I was like, and then I don't know, something just, it was like a light bulb in my head, and then it just changed. So I don't know, that's for me, the 5-year mark is when I was really like, this is who I am. I know who I am. I can take anything now and make it my own.
Yeah. I want to say it's around the same time, like 5 years in. That's when I started dabbling with crowd work and shit, like riffing. You know what? I went through and I watched a lot of my old stuff, and I was like, this is hot garbage. But I would have little pockets of riffing and like crowd work. I mean, like, I was always good at that shit. And that's when I realized, because a lot of people will tell you, you need to be yourself on stage. And a lot of people don't know what the fuck that means. Like, what are you talking about? It? I feel like I am myself on stage until like get that click. You're like, oh shit, this is what it's supposed to be. And that wasn't until I started introducing riffing and crowd work, because before I became a comedian, that's all I used to do with my friends, is just say stupid shit, and they'd be like, where'd you come up with that? And I'm like, I have no idea, because I was riffing the whole time. I was just riffing all fucking day long and making people laugh. And I was like, oh well, this is what I feel like I should be doing.
It'll have me laughing until 4 o'clock in the damn morning. I can't go to sleep. It's the best and the worst.
Yeah,
it's just saying funny stuff. It's not like set up punchline joke or anything like that. It's just, you know, saying outrageous stuff and just, you know, being animated and silly. And that's all I did. And once I started, you know, once I realized that, like, oh, this is me. Now I feel like I'm myself on stage. Now I'm talking to people. I'm having a good time. I'm saying things off the top of my head. And now that I post nothing but crowd work clips, because that's me. I'm not burning any jokes. So I don't have to worry about that. Like, if you want to come see me, you pay for the ticket. You'll get to see the jokes that I spent all this time working on. But all that other shit, that's just all in the day. Fucking here it is. If you're gonna miss that shit, I don't want that to go out to the you know, just to be disappear. I'm like, these are great moments, you know, because it feels like it's a part of me, you know. It's fun.
Like I can totally relate to every situation, like especially with the first 5 years, especially with Danielle's situation where you're traveling, like you're going places. It's like, man, like people think like you're kind of a big deal because you done been here and been there and been over there, and everything like that. I remember like one of the first like 2 years I started doing comedy, I got this like email like to do a show in Texas. And I was like, and I didn't even know how the person heard of me or nothing. And they were just like, yeah, we'll fly you out and we'll do all this. And I mean, it never came to fruition because at the last minute they canceled. But like still, it was just like the simple fact that I was like, because I remember like I called my brother and was like, man, we're going to Texas. I'm like kind of a big deal and everything like this. When really it wasn't that big deal. But
well, it was kind of like kind of like in the beginning when like when I was a regular at Stand Up Scottsdale. My first 6 months, I shouldn't have been a regular opener.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh yeah, I've opened for, Moshe Kasher. I've opened for, Quindale. I've opened for all these like bigger names. And then it's like, but I was shit. And, so it's like.
I did a theater show and I opened up for fucking Paul Rodriguez. I did 5 minutes and I was looking back at it like, why the fuck did I do that? Because I sold tickets. I should not have had that opportunity. I was dog shit.
5 minutes?
And people were like, I can barely hear you. And I was like, I was fucking scared, dude.
Yeah. No,
do you know how many people were there?
Yeah, it was probably a bunch.
That was the biggest show ever. That's still the biggest show I've ever done. It's like, god damn.
Well, that's the beauty of comedy, though, because the beauty of comedy is like any given night you could be performing with like somebody that becomes an all-time legend. And
I know.
It's just like, I opened for Dave Chappelle at a
but
coffee
the thing
house
is that stuff's really cool. But when you're a new comic and you're shitty, it doesn't matter who you open for.
Yes.
I knew the guy that worked for one of the clubs, and he used to fucking sniff around the goddamn headliners all the time trying to get guest spots.
You mean like every person that works at the comedy club?
I don't know, but this is the only person that I saw do it. And I used to make fun. I was like, "Oh, you're here to try to get a guest spot, huh?" And they're like, "No, it's not wrong here." I'm like, all right, fucking whatever, dude. Just it doesn't matter who you open for. If you fucking suck,
you suck.
That person, nobody in the audience is gonna remember you. They're not gonna follow you. They're not gonna do anything. You're just hurting yourself. Fucking do the steps. Start out small, and then you work your fucking your fire 5, and then 7, and then 10.
Be humble.
Yeah, exactly.
So when did you guys feel like you were veterans in comedy, or like do you like not still like a
veteran?
Hey, with this fucking COVID shit, we ain't veterans anymore.
No.
We're back to square one.
I feel like I'm back on year 5.
Rookies.
I've done more shows in the first 2 months than I have for this whole fucking pandemic.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I mean, honestly, I've never at any point felt like a veteran. I always feel like, I'm seasoned and stuff like that, but I was telling him, I don't remember what we were watching some sort of competition show, like a reality show, and the contestant was being interviewed. He was like, dude, I've had all this experience in this particular field, but every time I go into a competition or every time I have to make something, I'd always tell myself I'm gonna fuck it up, like I suck, like I'm nobody. And that's kind of I know it's kind of not the best. I don't know. So for me, that's kind of the mentality I have. I ain't shit, So I always have to be like, all right, well, you know what? I need to be the shit.
Yeah, I said, but me different. I'm like, I'm the big kahuna shit. Let's do this. No, you know what it was? It was early on when Saul, my good buddy, everybody knows Saul Trujillo. He used to do like headlining spots, like one night headlining spots. And I'm like, dude, you're doing fucking 45 minutes. He was like, I didn't know I had that much time. I was like, why'd you fucking pick the gig then? Why'd you take it? He was like, what am I going to say? No, they're paying me. And I was like, okay, I get it. Just go out there and fucking swing for the fences and go make money. And I was like, okay. I think, I don't feel like a veteran per se, but you get that a little bit of nuance to it once people start asking you to headline.
Yeah.
Often,
I agree with that.
Yeah, so when you're doing more headlining spots than you are like feature or opening, you're like, okay, I feel like I'm becoming a veteran in the community, in my local community.
And see, for me, it's never been that, because I've never had a local community. But there's been, I go on the road and people are like, oh, do you want a headline? Bring your feature. Or do you want to feature? This person will be your headliner. And it's like, whoa. And I still I'm always like, do I deserve this? Is this the thing? But then I go and I do it, and then I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm glad that I was given this spot, So I don't know. For me, it's
different. I've never had those thoughts. I've never had like, do I deserve this or anything? Only when
it keeps me grounded.
Only that year 1 when I did that theater show. That was like not in hindsight. That was in hindsight.
I still have. I love.
I go in every show is kind of like a stage is a stage is a stage.
Yeah.
There's different people.
Yep.
Let's see what kind of.
They want to laugh.
Yeah, they want to laugh. Let's see what I can get out of them. That's usually my takeaway from it. It's like, let's see what I could get.
They want to laugh.
Yeah. what can I get out of these people? Like, what kind of riffing moments can I do? I'm always like, as soon as I get to the venue, I'm like scanning the crowd, see what what people are wearing or what they're doing. If somebody's being loud, I'm like, oh, I know who I'm talking about. I know who I'm talking to.
See, I do the same thing, but I don't do as much crowd work. But I use those notes as for riffing. So I'll do those little pockets of like, I'll do a joke and then I relate it to something I see in the crowd or whatever. And it just, it'll bring people in, but I'm not a crowd work person. I love my material, but I still like have those, I love like doing that same thing where you've got to be set in reality, be in the moment.
Yeah.
To know what's going on and play with it. Yeah.
So does it ever get weird when like other comics like younger than you, like, cause I mean, it still gets weird for me. Like when other comics like are like sitting there asking you for advice?
Yeah, it's weird.
It is.
Yeah.
Cause I ain't shit. But
I never. I won't seek anybody else to like give advice either, unless they actually ask for it.
No.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll pretty much say the same thing I fucking have been saying on here, like do bar shows.
Just do bar nights.
Do the worst shows that you could fucking do at first. Do the grimy shit.
Especially people like in LA. Like, for instance, I would be waiting at the Hollywood Improv for the mic because the people that book watch it. And sometimes not sometimes, every single time, there would be people who get called from the bucket. This is their first time ever doing comedy, second time ever doing comedy, their third week, their first year. And I'm like, and the rest of us, I guess, vets that are trying to get, these like us seasoned comics are trying to get seen by the bookers. We're given less of a chance to get seen now because of your fucking green naive ass.
The luck of the draw.
And you're just going up there and they remember your name. You're like, hi, I'm Tyson, I'm Tyson Paul. This is my second time ever doing comedy. They're already like, oh, all right, remember this guy? Like, and that person keeps coming back and then they're like, great. And then they dismiss you. Then even when you do get good or get a little bit better, you've already put a poor taste in their mouth. So it's like, so I tell new comics, like, do your best to stay away from the spotlight. It's like he's saying, bar shows, smaller venues, get good, get used to shit crowds. Because then when you get into that club, like he said, the first time, like you hit that club stage, it's so sweet. Yeah, because you don't want to be Angela Johnson and fucking have an outrageous viral video and then 6 months in have to fill an hour because you're fucking semi-famous now. It's all about the opportunity. It's like, are you able to do this? Because people know your name now. I love Angela Johnson, but her second two specials are not great, and it's just somebody that clearly didn't go through the trenches to get to a certain point.
Yeah, no, I feel like everybody, like some people like get fast tracked and it's the worst thing for them. But then like it's like comics like you, me, and Nick, where it's like we were doing like bar shows for the first or doing low shows for like the first like 5 or 6 years, but you were build up a personality and build up a craft for it, and a routine. So now nothing like really like scares you anymore and stuff. Because I never really felt like I was a veteran in comedy until you get out of your own way. Like you just don't feel like every set that you do you overthink. And and then like when you feel like a veteran when basically it's like, okay, like I already got a solid 10 minutes, but now I'm gonna shoot for 15 and then you shoot for 20 and everything like that. And then like you start headlining and like killing shows and stuff, and then just basically you're down to travel like when it's beneficial for you. Because like I remember when I first started doing comedy, I was like traveling, but it was not a good reason for me to travel. Like I traveled to a show where it was like an open mic and it was 2 people, but I drove like 5 hours for no reason.
Damn.
Like thinking
it sounds like fun.
It wasn't.
That's typical comic shit though, man.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
but
the life.
I was naive. I was pretty naive because I thought like any given night you could get discovered, and I mean you can, but it's just only in certain places. You're not gonna get discovered in Norco, California.
That's finding the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
Well, that is true though. You got to get out of your own way. I mean, we're talking about young comics asking for advice. Like that's one of the first things I tell them was like, it sounds like it's hard to do, but try not to be scared. Don't be scared on stage because it just impedes your ability to be funny. If you're worried about what people are gonna think about you, then you're not going to deliver the joke to its fullest potential. You know, because you're worried, like, oh, is this okay? No, just fucking do it. Just dive into it.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, you know, even being a seasoned comic, fairly recently I did a set for Laugh Lounge at the Ice House in Pasadena, and Adam Carolla was there, and he was in the green room with me. And I didn't say anything to him. We were just sitting there. We were the only two people in the room. And then he struck up conversation. He's like, so how long have you been doing comedy? You know, I told him we got into a conversation. He goes, do you want any advice? And I was like, yeah, whatever you can give me. You know, he's like, don't do this for the money. And he's like, do this because you're going to do it anyway. And he's like, I'm going to tell you something. He's like, I've been in entertainment for 22 plus years. I've only been doing stand-up for a short amount of time. And he's like, right now, he's like, tonight, he's like, I'm getting paid nothing to go on this stage. And I didn't want to tell him, all right, well, I'm making over $100 tonight because Laugh Lounge fucking takes care of you. But, you know, he was big. I'm sure he got paid something, but to him, the $100 is probably nothing, you know? He's like, I'm getting paid nothing to go on stage tonight.
I'm surprised you were like, yeah, easy to say for somebody who has $1 million.
Well, no, but I think what he was trying to convey was like he struggled so hard for so long, getting himself
carpenter and shit,
and he's like, do it because you're going to do it anyway. What else would you be doing tonight? He's like, would you rather be sitting down watching television? Would you rather be out at a restaurant with your friends, or would you rather be right here, right now? And he's like, you know, what else? And I was like, yeah, this is the only place I want to be. He's like, and he's like, good. Then don't. He's like, the problem that most people have is they get to a certain point, like the years that you're at, and he's like, and then they're like, oh, I'll only do it for the money. I'll only do it for the money. He's like, that's the wrong mentality. He's like, that's when you'll kind of mess yourself up. And he's like, do it because you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. So, well, you got to think about your mentality when you first start doing comedy and you're doing mics.
Yeah.
You're traveling fucking 5 hours just to do a 5-minute set in front of two people.
Some standards, but you know what I mean.
You do. Still. What I'm getting at is you do it for the love of the game.
Yes.
You fucking love to do comedy. You want to do comedy. You want to make people laugh, and you have to stay consistent with that.
Yeah.
You have to always love doing comedy,
no
matter how much you're getting paid. You know, if
if
you're doing a headlining set and you're only getting paid a certain amount to do like half an hour, and you usually get paid this much, you're like gonna half-ass it. You're like, no, you're gonna do your fucking job.
If your main goal is to get famous, like get the fuck out. Just quit. Please quit right now. We don't want you here.
I think that's definitely a problem now with comics, like first starting comedy now, because due to social media and just basically like attention in general, like comics that are just starting out now, like they're focused on two things. They're really focused on the money, and then they're focused on the likes.
Dude, I remember being so pissed the first time I saw this. It must have been when I came back to the States, so maybe like 2017, 2016. We were driving down Sunset, and I saw a billboard that saying like somebody famous was headlining, and they're like featuring some dude. I don't remember his fucking name. I remember his first name was Ryan. I don't know his last name.
What's up, Ryan?
And his credit underneath on this big ass billboard on Sunset Boulevard said over 1 billion views on Vine.
Oh no! Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't go to that show, but I had friends that were like watching it. I had a friend of a friend was one of the other either opening, or I think it was opening, and then Ryan was the feature, and then the famous person was the headliner. And they were like, dude, he ate shit up there.
Nice.
He actually like quit partly through because he couldn't like hack it, because the crowd like started turning on him, and he was like, fuck this shit.
Filmed it could be 1 billion views of me bombing.
But it's like but that's the thing though, like I've seen so many people get booked because of the amount of followers that they have. That's like a credit now, which is so stupid, because then they'll go up on stage at the fucking Laugh Factory. That's where the show was on Sunset, and fucking die up there.
Oh, not last year. It was the year before. Was it early last year? No, I don't remember now. We were supposed to be doing a show, and they were like, well, you can get people coming out because look at your Instagram followers.
Oh, yeah.
You have like 2,500 and you have this many. I'm like, dude, first of all, 80% of those are comics. Okay. So let's get that straight.
I was like, my like 3,100 followers.
It's like 10% fans. Okay, relax. And they don't live here.
Yeah, they live in the outskirts. That's where you get
the fucking boonies out here, okay?
Yeah.
We need you to bring the audience. This is your town.
Mm-hmm. It's not our job to bring people.
Look at all the followers you have. Like, what?
Listen,
it could be more.
I'll promote, I'll post. Who knows who shows up? So
yeah.
Well, yeah, no, and that's like one of the conversations me and a lot of comics have a lot, and it's basically the difference between, okay, is a comic supposed to promote or is a comic supposed to perform? I'm glad that you guys bring that up because I kind of want to get your quick thoughts on like where you stand as far as like, okay, if a comic is trying to build a career and doing shows, wouldn't you want people to come to your shows like so you can build a following? Because like, how are you going to build a following if they don't come to your shows? And then how, like, is the show supposed to be good without promoting?
Right. Here's the thing. Like, you do want to post, like, the shows that you're doing and then like, hey, if anybody can come out, but it shouldn't be the comedian's job to bring people.
Yeah.
They can promote, you can promote it.
I promote the show, but I will not be a promoter.
No. It is the whoever's putting on the show, whoever is the producer of the show, it's their job to sell tickets. It's their job to get people in. It's their job to advertise. If I'm producing a show, I will be advertising the hell out of it. I will be going around town. I'll be doing whatever I can, like going on Meetup or whatever.
Yeah, because then now
it's not the comedian's job. Yeah, I'll tell the comedians, hey guys, if you can at least post this on your social media, let anybody that might want to come see you, please post it. If they don't promote it, then I'm less likely to rebook them. That's true. But I don't expect them to bring people. That's not their job. Their job is to come and fucking kill it for the audience that we
have. If I do a show, I don't look at anybody's thing to see if they're blasting the poster or anything.
They don't need to blast it. They just got. I just like them to post
if that's their prerogative, they want to do like me. I'll post every poster. I'll let people know that I'm going to be there, but I'm not going to fucking push it.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yes.
If I'm producing a show, I'm going to push it hard. Because if it's money that's going into my pocket, let's fucking do this. I'm going to post it wherever I can. Yeah. Not worried about everybody else. This is my job. Your job is to bring the fucking laughs. And then that way, after the show, I could be like, look what I brought you. It's going to go next month. If you want to keep doing this,
exactly.
That's my job. But if I'm doing somebody else's show, I'm just there to be funny.
Yeah.
And then I will build my own audience getting the people that you brought.
Yes, exactly.
No, I always looked at it as basically like a negotiation tactic. Like, I was like, okay, like, obviously, because, I mean, the game's, like, been the game for even before we started even thinking about doing comedy. But, like, I think now it's, like, with comics now and basically with social media and everything now, like, you have a negotiation, like, tool that you can use to be like, all right, like, if the show's this much and I bring this many people, I want this much. And like basically like you challenge yourself to like get all these people out there and stuff. And then on top of that, you're also building your own following because you can sit there and be like, look, I want this much and like I want to be able to sell my own merch, and like if I bring this many people, I want this much time. Like I mean, you can work in the system. But I also understand how you guys like say it, like where it's like, look,
I don't believe in bringing.
Well, I would leave that to if I was a seasoned comic and I had some notoriety and I could actually bring people out, then I would negotiate.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Use my name to negotiate prices and see what I could get. But if I'm trying to make money, I'm going to produce my own show.
Yeah. And
then just make money off of tickets. Then I'll push and see how many people I can get. You know what I mean? But as far as negotiating with the promoter, I don't have any fucking clout. I don't have a following. So, fucking you bring the people, bro, and I'll be funny. Let's do this.
I always tell people, look, I'm gonna come and I will be funny. I'll post the poster. I'll post it on my Facebook. I'll post it on my social media. That's the best I can do. But if you are like, hey, you got to bring people, then I'm not gonna do your show. Like I can't. I don't feel comfortable doing that kind of shit. So not about it.
Yeah.
You're like, so I'll bring her.
Hey.
And she will bring me.
Yes.
She's my +1.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're each other's +1. All right.
We are. So okay, well, and that goes on to my next point. Okay, so dating comedy, like, okay, basically comedy is what brought you guys together, right? So can you kind of give us a brief, like, story? Don't go into full detail because if you guys go into full detail, like, then like we can't air this. So just kind of like, how did you guys know each other? Did you guys know about each other before you guys met, or was it just like basically like a freak encounter, or how did you guys meet?
Well, we met through Instagram.
Yeah.
I think we noticed each other in our stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then was like, oh,
because we were just following each other because it's like mutual comedian friends. You just kind of follow other comedians and stuff like that.
Yeah. Started. Yeah, and started like I started looking at her stuff. And I'm like, this chick is pretty funny.
Yeah. I would do like
for Instagram. A lady, just wanted for a lady.
I used to go on Instagram Live on my way to my old serving job and just complain about shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd have people tune in, and I would do it almost every day. And then he started tuning in and just like listening. I'm like, I would see this name come up, and he would never say anything. I'm like,
just creeping.
Yeah,
like a good creeper.
But you know, and then
she got a pretty mouth. I like her.
I'll watch you from a distance.
Yeah.
But I think he thought I was funny, and then he reached out to talk about like because I was talking about my anxiety and how and I knew I was being too reliant on marijuana. I was being too reliant on THC, and so he reached out and was like, "Hey, try this out." And it was really
well. I think the first time that I actually made a connection with you, or just like contacted you, was the video that you made for the damn commercial Crossfire, and I was like, I think about this guy, this commercial all the time.
Crossfire.
And then I see her make a video of it. Like I was just thinking about this commercial. I just talked about this on my podcast, and then she was like, "Oh my god!" It was like a small, back and forth. And then she was talking about her anxiety and one of her lives.
That's when he knew that I was funny.
Yeah, I suggested do THC and half CBD, see if that works. And I sent her a link.
And I was like, cool, this is cool. And then we just kind of started talking. And then I was like, how long have you been doing comedy? And we literally just talked comedy for days.
Yeah. And we were like looking at similar posts. Yeah. Like we did similar kind of like expressions and stuff on stage. I'm like, I have the same picture. I have like a picture just like that. And we would like, let's like.
There's like one of me like this. And there's one of him like this. And it's just like the same.
It's like there's a lot of similarities here. That's hilarious.
And eventually he was coming down to LA and Orange County for some shows. And he was like, hey, I'm going to be at the AHA. You want to come hang out and do a mic? I was like, I'm going to do a fucking mic at the AHA. Cost money. I don't know. All right. This is when a being seasoned comedian comes in. I was like, I'm a curmudgeon when it comes to paying for fucking mics. Like, I'm not going to do that shit. But I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not doing anything else tonight. I will spend $5. So I came down with my friend. It's funny because I brought my friend Sal. He had his friend Saul. 4 of us were all hanging out, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
Person.
Okay.
I had my Saul. I had my Saul, and you had your Sal.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And then so obviously, how did you guys make the long distance relationship work? Would did comedy help? Because basically it was just like,
well, it wasn't.
If you want to do shows up here,
it wasn't a relationship.
It wasn't very long. It was only a couple months. But was a long distance relationship because it was like November, December.
We were just friends talking from, I want to say March or April until the fall is when we established, we actually started seeing each other. So but as friends, we would talk every day as friends and just get to know each other. And I think by doing that, we got to know each other on such a deeper level because it wasn't caught up in this whole oh, we're dating, we're sleeping with each other, this is amazing. It was like, no, we're forced to just get to know each other.
Yeah, because you're 6 hours away.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I have to talk.
And I was in the position where I had a year ago just got out of, just got separated from my ex-husband. And I was not interested in a relationship, but I liked getting to know somebody that I found attractive. And so it wasn't a situation of so I was like, I didn't give a fuck. I was like, here's who I am. Here's all my secrets. I don't care if you don't want to date me because it'd be fine to just have a friend. I don't care. Yeah. And he kind of did the same thing. So we both kind of exposed all our baggage straight out the gate. And it was like, whoa, we are very similar people. And then eventually you just couldn't deny the chemistry and shit like that. And so it just happened.
Okay, so I guess I should ask you both this question, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably get different answers. What's it like dating a comic?
Oh, it's hilarious.
It's the best. It's so funny all the time. We're always making each other
laugh every day, multiple times a day. Sometimes we stay up until 3, 4 in the morning.
Both of our goal is to make each other get caught off guard to where the other person can't rebuttal. Or they're just laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Every day we try to do it.
And then it's cool. It's so fun. We're so similar. We're both clean people. Yeah.
Like, so when it comes to living together, it's perfect because we're
very
both
organized.
clean. We don't have assigned jobs in the house where it's like, hey, if you see a dish, you clean it. If you see this, like, the only jobs that we have is he doesn't like to cook and I don't like to wash dishes. So it's like perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a balance. It's a balance. And like, I don't like to do the stuff in the bathroom, so I will clean the entire house.
And I'll scrub the bathroom.
Not to do it.
I need a clean bathroom, so I will be scrubbing. So there, I don't know. It's just a good balance. I don't know. It's just everything just kind of works. I don't know.
Okay.
I wish I had a slimier answer for you to have so that people could be like, "Ooh, the cheese man, this is great," but there's none. I'm sorry.
Nah,
it's fucking full house over here.
We're fucking adorable.
I know other people. I know other people that like have dated like fellow comics and stuff, and I've heard nothing but horror stories. And then like
I think those people have ego problems.
Yeah, here's the thing.
That's why.
Like a lot of my friends have done that, and I remember telling myself I will never date a comedian. For so long, I definitely had like a couple of comic friends that like sometimes we would like hook up just because it was like, oh, okay, we're both lonely, like we both know that we're not gonna, and it was like that. I would never date you though, like that's never gonna happen. And then one time I was in a shitty relationship with somebody who was trying to get into comedy and was mentally, verbally abusive and very ego, and that's the problem with most other comedians. Like as far as like dating comedians, there's a lot of people with bruised egos. There's a lot of people that are very sensitive and they rely on being on stage as like
their whole personality is being a comic, and they think that they're going to be the next fucking star,
and then they try to be in competition with the person that they're with, like trying to one up you or try to ride, or if it's in a case where somebody's a vet and somebody's new, trying to ride their coattails, you know, or this person's carrying the weight of the other person or whatever the case. But with us it's more of like we feel like equals.
If we did a tour together, we would have no problem switching off headlining and featuring.
No.
And to not have the ego and being like, I know where you shine and I know where I shine.
Yes.
Let's use this to our advantage. I don't do that well in San Francisco, so you're definitely going to headline.
I'll open up for you.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah.
We both did a show in the setup in San Francisco, and he did decently. And then, I mean, I was
pretty drunk.
Yeah. But most of what you do in San Francisco, you do decently. Yeah. Like, it's like, it's good.
I do decent.
Yeah, he does decent.
They don't like hood people.
They don't understand. And then I come up there.
Stockton, gross.
I don't know. And I think because of, I don't know, my more like, cultured experience. I don't know what it is. That they're like, oh, because they're pretentious. And I don't know. It's easier for me to get those kinds of people. Then we got in the middle of nowhere, and this guy was shying with his family material. So.
Now that you guys are in a relationship, though, do you guys, because I also know like a thing like comedic couples do, they always do the same shows. Like, do you guys do the same shows, or do you just
pretty much
separate shows together, or you just?
I think people are getting on board to like we're kind of like a package deal.
But we don't like only do that. Like if there's an instance, because there has been maybe like a few instances since we've been together where somebody booked me, but they didn't book Nick, and it's clear that they don't have room for him, or vice versa, where he's like, hey babe, like I got this show, like you know they're already booked up. I'm like, that's fine. I'm gonna come see you anyway. I don't care. So I'll always, and we always tell people too, if I get booked on something and they didn't book him, I'm like, hey, just so you know, Nick Larson will be with me. He's a seasoned comic. If somebody ends up dropping out, like he can easily slide in, and vice versa.
And then like she's doing Zoom shows, and I'm like, leave me the fuck out of that.
Hey, I'm making money on Zoom, all right? I made $50 last night, blood. What's up?
Like, no, thank you.
So which one agrees with Zoom shows and which one doesn't agree with Zoom shows?
I agree with them. Every time, I don't know. For him, it's funny because I'll do a Zoom show where I'm like, hey, like it's not stand up. It will never be stand up. It's fun, but for me, it's the same kind of fun as like sketch comedy or improv comedy or whatever, where it's like it's not stand up. There's nothing as fulfilling or as energetic. And
I think you're able to do that because you have a background in not sketch. Just improv.
Yeah, improv and shit like that.
So you're able to do that. I'm like, I know. I need to walk the stage. I need to feel the stage under my feet. I need to look at people in the eye. I need to do the whole thing.
Every Zoom show I've ever done has had an audience, so I can hear the feedback, and it's fun. And I'll be like, hey babe, you should get on this show, because I know you hate, Zoom shows aren't fun, but as far as a Zoom show goes, this wasn't bad. and then he'll go, and for
every
some
time
reason,
it's like they know that I don't fucking want to be there.
There's like one
audience member, 3 audience member, and I'm like, what?
And he has
there was 40 people last time.
Experience like this last show I did. There were over 30 people watching, and all the comics made $50.
And I'm like, I will do that show. I will get on that show, and there will be 5 people. I guarantee it. I fucking guarantee it. It's the touch of death. As soon as I'm on there, they're like, nope.
He doesn't want to be here.
He doesn't want it.
Okay, so in the beginning of your relationship, actually something really weird happened. I think they call it COVID.
Yes.
Like early into your like living.
I think I've heard about that.
/
2 months after we moved in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID happened. What was it like being comics? Like, I mean, because I know like as a comic, I know last year was tough on everybody. But what was it like for you guys? Because I mean, you guys could relate to what was going on in your guys' situation and stuff.
Well,
so what was it like?
I would like to specify that I was completely fine.
Not me. I was
playing all the video games.
I was crying.
Chilling.
I was depressed.
I was living my 13-year-old life.
No.
Just fucking having a good time.
No.
Yeah.
That's not good. Especially
full bladder. I'm like, I don't want to go pee, and I'm playing games.
Especially the first like 7 or no, even I would say the first even 9 to 10.
Yeah, there was a lot of times of having to comfort her because she was going through a rough.
I'm not used to being at home at night. I don't like being at home at night. And even when I was working, if I was working like as a serving job and I would work with the shift at night, I was so fucking depressed because I'm like, I could have been on stage tonight. And so when, I don't know if you ever saw my schedule, but I was constantly, I have to keep myself busy. On average, my slow months, I would have 11 shows. So that's a very slow month for me. So to go from that to nothing was just
doing less than 11 shows in fucking almost a year.
Dude, I was not good mentally, and it's taken me a while to kind of just get
okay. And I would definitely use like video games and stuff like that as coping mechanisms, but I never really felt like deep depression or anything like that from not being able to go outside or anything like that. I'm pretty good at keeping my mind busy, however long it takes, whatever I have to do. I could keep myself busy and not think about not being on stage.
I'm fine with that for the most part, but like it's night, and then even and it'll carry with me during the day. So like when I don't do comedy at night, it'll still hit me the next day where I'm still like, I don't want to fucking get out of bed because I had a horrible night, kind of thing. Yeah. So my depression's pretty bad when it comes to that.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I'm like extra animated and silly too. I'm trying to keep her spirits up, just making sure that we don't have any bad days.
Yeah. It's been better lately, like because now that this is feeling like more of a norm, and I'm a personal trainer on the side, so now I've taken on more clients, training virtually, and I'm exercising more, and so I think that's been helping me mentally. Exercise helps everything. So.
Yeah, no, because like I remember following you guys like on social media because like I followed both of you for years, and like I noticed when you guys got together and stuff like that, like. During the pandemic, you guys were very creative. Like you had a lot of like different ideas and a lot of pictures. I would have never knew one person was like living their best like 6th grade life while the other one was like suffering from depression and everything. But no, and then like I guess like it was a blessing in disguise because you guys came out with your own podcast that's pretty funny called Secret Minorities. So how did that come about and where would you like to go with that?
Originally, I wanted my own podcast because he has an established podcast with Sal Trujillo called "Joke Me Off," and it's one of my favorite podcasts. And I'm not just saying that because I know him. I genuinely will listen to it to laugh. It's so good. They are so funny, especially together. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that thing's rolling. It's on its own legs right now.
He puts so much work into podcasts, and I told him like I want to do my own. You don't have to help me. Like just show me how to do it. I will do it, and I will do it myself. And it was racking my brain for so long. But then, especially with COVID and everything, like we weren't doing anything. I was like, why don't we just kind of do something together, and we can. And I'll do all the social media. I'll do all that work that you don't like to do, as long as you can just post it onto Libsyn and then I'll do all the promoting. Yep. And he was like, okay, that's a good deal. And so we were trying to think of a name for it. And it was mostly inspired by the fact that nobody knows that we're minorities because we're light skinned. He's full blood Mexican. Okay. My family is from Ecuador. My dad is super dark, but his mom, he'll tell you, I look exactly like my abuelita. Mm-hmm. Like I look almost identical to my grandma that's from Ecuador. Mm-hmm. So nobody knows that. So that's why I was thinking about like secret minorities. Like it's kind of like, I don't know. And so,
nobody knows that we're a minority.
Yeah. Nobody knows I'm a minority either. Like I think it's because of the way I speak. Nobody knows. Like it's like you're not black.
When you're on the phone, nobody knows.
So well spoken. You sound white. What the fuck does that mean? All the time, like, it's so funny, like, because as a Latina, you still get the same thing where they're like, wait, but your family is from South America, then why do you sound white? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. They fucking speak English over there too, bro. I don't know.
Like, why do I sound white?
So
I grew up in the United States and I went to school. I don't know.
It gets weird. It gets weird when I'm on the phone with people because like I'll tell them my name first too, and they'll just like, oh, my bad, like but then I have two first names, so then they'll be like, oh, like your last name's Paul and your first name's Tyson. That's when the credit like we're gonna have to run your credit. And so that's when that comes in and stuff.
And with my last name too, people don't know that it's Latin. And so people like think that maybe it's French or something like that. And I'm like, nope. It derives from Spain, and then it was brought to South America.
Yeah, and then my last name is not my last name.
It's not his real last name, no.
It's actually Martinez.
His birth
Martinez. But my stepdad was Larson, so I go by Larson. I'm trying to get everything changed. It's still it's a whole ordeal. Yeah, I like that a lot of because I don't speak Spanish. I know no bits of Spanish whatsoever. Only the curse words, obviously, because those are the best. But I don't know any Spanish. But a lot of older Hispanic people can tell that I'm Mexican, so they do speak Spanish to me, and I'm like, hey, you need to fucking speak English. I don't know what you said. Where do you think we are?
You see my gauges?
Yeah. You better cut that shit off right now. Speak English.
But yeah, so that's kind of like where our podcast kind of drives from and stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah. And then another thing that people might not really know about this, or might not know about you guys, but it's actually pretty interesting. Okay, Nick has a daughter, and
he has two kids.
A daughter and a son.
Yeah, he has a daughter and a son. Obviously, he does not like the son that much because he only shows off the daughter. And
my son's he's in an awkward stage.
He's almost 14.
Yeah, he's almost 14.
He's like, don't take a picture of me or I will kill you.
Yeah. You don't have a son. And
he's got braces and shit, so he's like, he doesn't want to smile. He does like this all the time.
Yeah.
He was in one of our sketches, but he was the punchline at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why. He probably ran away from home now.
But he's always on he's playing games 24/7, so you can't get him in anything. You can't take pictures of him. In his little cave.
But yeah, anyway.
Wow. So what's it like being like a comedic co-parent / step-parent duel?
I don't know. We also are very good, like, we agree a lot on parenting styles. Mm-hmm. So when we were just friends getting to know each other, like we were talking about our upbringings, he's talking about how he disciplines his kids. And I was like, well, if I had kids, this is how I would do it. When I was a nanny, this is how I did it. Because when I was a nanny, a lot of times the parents are like, you are the disciplinarian. I don't exist when you are taking care of the kids. So I had to learn how to properly discipline children because I was basically another parent. Mm-hmm. So I told him my style and it kind of matched up with what he does. We complement each other. So when the kids are here, we always try to make them laugh. They always try to make us laugh back. So it's like, we're always shooting the shit. We're always making fun of each other. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's probably annoying to outside people, but it's really great.
Yeah.
Well, like the Brady Bunch.
I know. It's so fun, though.
Fun time.
I love his kids. They're great.
It keeps a relationship strong. That's what it does.
Yeah, it's great.
Like now, wonder you guys never have nothing not to talk about. You guys got everything to talk about. You got your own interests, and then you got to talk about parenting and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that works.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I love kids, and his kids are honestly great kids. They are genuinely awesome kids. They're so
about. I'm like,
His daughter is basically my best. She's my best friend. I love her.
Yeah. Nah, sorry, Nick. If you guys break up, she's taking one. Well,
that's actually, I have a whole bit about that. How everybody thinks that he and I are best friends. I'm like, no, me and his 6-year-old daughter are best friends. That doesn't
That's funny. That's classic. That's classic.
My kids are good though. They're well behaved, so they're easy to get along with.
Yeah, and their mom is awesome too. Like we all get along. It's a really good situation, and I talk about that on stage too. It's so unique. I didn't expect this to happen. I thought she was gonna hate me. I thought I was gonna be mistreated. Nah, she's really dope. So cool.
Wait, does it ever get awkward when you guys are on stage and you're talking about each other's relationship?
No, it's fun. It's fun. Sometimes I'll think of a joke and I won't tell him. Yeah. And I'll go up and I'll do it, and I love when I can hear him laugh, because then it's that like
yeah.
He does the same thing too. Like, I don't know, or we'll run it by each other sometimes. Like, hey, I have this idea. Like, or we piggyback off each other's jokes here and there. Like he had this. I don't know if this is appropriate to say on your thing or not, but he has a joke about his ex, and like she's a white lady, and basically I'll just say that it was like the way she tastes, right? And so it's funny. And so then one day I was doing my joke, and my joke is that we all hook up, that we all like have sex with each other. And then I bring up the way that she tastes, and it got like this huge fucking laugh. And whether I go on before him or after him, it like works, because if I go on after him, it's a callback. If he goes on after me, it's a callback, and it's such a strong joke. So we kind of do that with each other too. He'll piggyback off of some of mine, and we play with that with each other. It's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
I think the best thing about this relationship is the amount that I've written, not knowing that I'm writing shit, because I like I say, I always say stupid stuff,
and I tell him write that down.
She told me to write it down. And
write it down.
I wrote a bunch of jokes just because she told me to write it down, and before they were just going out to the ether. But now I have somebody to be like, write that shit down. Give me your phone, I'll do it for you.
Yeah. I've written half of his notes in his phone. I've done it for him. I'm like, you need to remember this.
And I was like, I didn't even think that was a joke. I was just saying something.
And now some of his best shit is it's him doing it and me telling him to write it down, and then now he's got this amazing material.
Yeah, that's what we call an amazing support system and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's the best.
All right, man. So we're kind of gonna cut this out because I know it's kind of late and you guys got kids to take care of. But before we go, we're just gonna do this thing that we usually like to do, where I ask each comic basically their perfect show. So basically, I want you guys to tell me which comedy club, if you could pick any comedy club in the world, which comedy club would you perform at or produce this show at, and name the other 3 comics that you would have on the show with you.
So another 3 comics?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be 4 in total. That's hard, man. That's a tough one.
Wait, are we the headliner, or are we booking somebody else?
Yes, you are the headliner.
Oh, okay. Because I can't have somebody amazing go on before me and then feel outshined. So that changes things for me.
Okay, so we are the headliners in the situation. All right, I see. Man, that's
so. Which comedy club first? Say which comedy club first.
Probably Punchline, since it's the first place I actually did a show. So
in Sacramento.
Sacramento Punchline, and then it'd have to be me, her, Saul, and I don't know. It's a toss up. I can't think of a third person without. It's one of those situations where somebody people and you're like so close to everybody. You're like,
and I don't want to
if you say a certain name, you're like, oh fuck, bro, what? Yeah, why not me? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I gotta think, but I'm just gonna have 3 people on my show. I'm gonna do a comedy club style show, and it's just gonna be 3 people. It's gonna be me, Saul, and her. There you go.
Okay.
And just know everybody was in the running to be a guest spot.
Okay.
Okay. And then
for me, I have 2 venues in mind. I love the Pasadena Ice House just because it's always fire for laughs. But I love a smaller venue. So I think one of my favorite smaller venues is the Virgil in Los Angeles. So I think I'd want something like that, like the Virgil, and it would be me, him, one of my very best friends, her name is Maya. I would have her opening. And I'd probably say someone like Saul, because he just fucking crushes.
Rip City.
Yeah. So my friend Maya lives in Japan. She's my very best friend. She got into comedy because she saw me do a show, and she's a killer. Like just one of those people that's just naturally a killer, and she's not a known person. So I'd say that. Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, and then we're gonna close it out with this. We like to do this thing called either or, basically comedy style. I'm gonna ask you a few either or questions, and I just want to get your preference or what you prefer. This is, you don't have to be politically correct or anything like that. Like basically, just say however you feel. We don't judge you, and nobody else judges you either. So I'm gonna start it off with a comedy movie: Fast Times at Ridgemont High or The Hangover?
Fast Times.
Yeah, Fast Times.
Hangover's
I think The
great.
Hangover it's good, but I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
Fast Times is classic.
Yeah. Fast Times is a timeless classic.
Okay. Hollywood Improv or Sacramento Punchline?
Sacramento Punchline.
Sacramento Punchline.
Okay.
Better audience. Hollywood Improv, they're a little more pretentious.
Never been on the stage, so I couldn't say, but it would still be Punchline, Sacramento.
Okay. Okay, The Comedy Store or San Francisco Punchline?
San Francisco Punchline.
Comedy Store.
Okay. Okay, this might be a little interesting, but we're just going to do it anyway. Okay, Chris Farley or John Candy?
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. Love John Candy.
Love John Candy.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yes.
But Chris Farley.
Just so you know, we fucking love John Candy. Like, respect.
I grew up on John Candy, but really grew up on Chris Farley.
Yeah.
SNL, all this shit, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Ali Wong or Margaret Cho?
Ali Wong.
Ali Wong.
I love Margaret Cho, but Ali is just so much funnier to me.
Okay.
I'm actually not too familiar with Margaret Cho.
I like her a lot.
I think I've seen like a lot of her old stuff, but I don't think I've seen anything recently, so I couldn't say.
Okay. And I guess last but not least, Nick Larson or Danielle Arce?
Arce, thank you.
Arce, sorry. Arce. I did it wrong. So,
Dan Aykroyd. What?
Nick Larson.
Nick Larson or Dan Aykroyd.
For some reason, yeah.
I would say Dan Aykroyd.
Nick Larson or Dan Aykroyd?
Danielle Arce.
No, Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd? Oh, Dan Aykroyd.
He's got tequila. What do you? Of course. I would pick Dan.
Wait, are you talking like dick or are we talking comedy? Because then if it's the first one,
I guess both.
I guess both. Okay. I'm joking. Nick Larson.
So what is the question? Her or me? What?
Yeah.
Pertaining to what?
Yeah, Nick Larson or Danielle
Arce.
When it comes to comedy.
When it comes to comedy. There's no V. There's no Nick
There's
V.
No V.
Nick V.
Danielle.
It's
equal sign.
It's E.
E for everybody.
No, like Hawaii.
Oh.
Like with.
Oh my God! It sounded like a.
It's together. It's hyphenated. So they're together.
It sounded like a true love relationship. All right. Thank you, Nick and Danielle, for taking time out of your busy schedule to basically share this interview with us.
Thanks for having us on, man.
I had a blast. I can't wait to come to you guys' wedding someday, hopefully.
Probably later this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it has to be at a comedy club.
No.
We'll see. That'll be after party.
One person won the other no.
We are gonna get married in the afternoon, and at night we're gonna do a show.
That's what I want.
What? Okay. Whatever makes a relationship strong. Okay.
The wedding show, and tickets are gonna be $25.
And I am wearing my dress on stage.
Dude, that would be great. With just tuxedo and dress. That's sick.
We're doing this.
Fuck yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love how a plan comes together, man. I love how a plan comes together.
Because of you, man.
It's all because of you, Tyson.
Oh man, I hope so. I hope I can make true love work. So where can people find you, especially with your podcast, Secret Minorities? When do you guys release those so people can listen?
usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Any one of those days, we release a new episode. So every week.
Depends on when we have the kids. And
yeah,
stuff
around the beginning of the week.
So yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. You can follow us on Instagram at Secret Minorities. You can follow us on Twitter. It's at Secret Minority with a Y because it was too long for Twitter. So those are the only two places that we're on social media. But you can stream our podcast anywhere podcasts are streamed. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon, anywhere. You can follow me on Instagram at Danielle Arce Comedy. You can follow my Twitter at Danielle Arce. I have a website, DanielleArce.com. Has all my links, videos, things like that on there if you're interested in any of that stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at Nick Larson Comedy. If you want to check out my photos, I'm a dub photographer.
Yes.
That's Nick Larson Photography. Everything else is Nick Larson 85 Facebook and Twitter. And then I have, like I mentioned, Saul Trujillo a couple times. We have a podcast called Joke Me Off. Look up JMO Podcast. It's all one word. It's also on every platform. And we're, I don't know, close to 300 episodes.
Yeah.
So there's plenty to listen to if you're bored.
If anybody's ever bored, they just need to go to your guys' Instagrams and basically listen to you guys, and they'll be entertained. I know.
Yeah, so we're almost 30 episodes in.
Yeah, we're nearly there.
Yeah, and then with the 300, there's plenty of listening to be had.
Yeah, but not just listening, laughing, enjoyment,
a lot of laughing.
Exactly.
Pleasure.
All right, Tyson. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Thank you guys for doing this tonight, man. Can't wait to see you guys again soon, live,
definitely,
stand up and stuff. So, my name is Tyson Paul. This is We on the Last with Tyson Paul. Check us out next week. We're gonna have another amazing guest, and remember to laugh at life because it's actually pretty funny. All right, see you guys next week, guys.